Make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Super Bowl 59 is on Westwood One.
Now the Chiefs are on the doorstep of history, going for a third consecutive Super Bowl.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Grant. Join Kevin Harlan, Kurt Warner, Laura Oakman, Gene Steratore, Devin McCourty, and me for all the action right here.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Electric cars are coming faster than you think, and that's why we're bringing SEMA Connect to Alabama.
Our team educates you and helps provide a long-term plan for your business. Where to put them, how to get them there, how to pay for them, tax incentive, service, and monitoring. We take care of everything.
Doing the right thing means bringing EV car chargers to Alabama. Let us help you with your EV charging plan.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Your home of March Madness. 97.7 The Zone. WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
A very pleasant, good Wednesday evening to you. Welcome into The Drive. Set to entertain you for the next 2 hours. Walking you up to, we've got some college basketball coming up tonight here over our airwaves. SEC basketball. And no, it's not Alabama. Arkansas, fresh off of a win in Rupp, is traveling to Austin, Texas to take on the Longhorns. Westwood One will have the coverage beginning at 7:45. And we'll dive into some SEC basketball a little bit later on here in this first hour, as the voice of the Auburn Tigers, as I have affectionately called them, voice of number one, is going to join us later on here in this first hour. Andy Burcham from the Auburn Sports Network, the voice of the Tigers. He is going to join us as Auburn, fresh off of a dominating win last night at home against Oklahoma. That thing was not close. 98-70 was the win. Ole Miss a winner as well over Kentucky. That's back-to-back L's for the Wildcats. They're now under 500 in SEC play. Likewise for the Vanderbilt Commodores, as they got upended. I'm going to still say the O-Dome. It might not be the O-Dome. Everything's got a name now. Florida a winner over Vanderbilt, 86-75. But what used to be a national holiday, it is the first Wednesday in February. There is no Wes Neighbors today, as he is en route to some sand, as Drew DeArmond is kind enough to sit back in the studios. I am in the lovely metropolis. In fact, over my left shoulder, I am seeing the football stadium for Delta State University, and on the other side of that is Walter Sillers Coliseum, where I'll be tomorrow night for the UAH Chargers. Drew DeArmond, how are you, sir?
I am good, Steve, and I got a question. That, of course, what you sent me, that picture will become some. I probably
not hear Drew.
Oh, did I?
At the moment,
we just unmuted it. Okay, hold on.
There we go.
Okay, here we go.
Rookie
I'm
mistake,
on
sorry.
now. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I thought I had made the mistake. No problem, because we were working it out this morning. But that's going to be some wallpaper, Steve. Wherever you found that, is that Drew, Mississippi, the home of Archie Manning?
So you know what? I need to put this out on Twitter.
Yeah.
But yes, I came in a different way to
Right.
Cleveland, Mississippi, and it took me through downtown Drew. So downtown Drew, Mississippi.
That is the home of Archie
he-
Manning.
Now he's downtown Drew DeArmond.
Yeah.
Yeah, downtown Drew.
There you
Downtown
go.
Drew is. So I did not realize downtown Drew, that is the home of Archie Manning.
It is very much so. And of course, my friends would hate that I know that and would cuss me, but they're not Manning fans. But I do know that that is the home of Archie.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, that part of from Oxford to Cleveland, of maneuvering through that is some rough patch of Mississippi. I mean, it is, I am grateful to be in Huntsville, Alabama. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, you doing all right, Drew?
Well, I'm doing great. And good luck to the Chargers tomorrow, going for a school record. And
That's right.
That's
That's
some
right.
awesome stuff, man. And
Trying to hit blackjack tomorrow night.
Here we go. And great job. We hope to talk to Mick Hedgepeth in the morning on Talking Ball and get his thoughts on the team and the resiliency they've shown. And I had a chance to see just watch the replay now a few times of my man Daniel Saylor when he was doing the finger roll, as I like to call it.
The oop scoop.
Well, y'all calling it the hoop scoop. I'm calling it the Iceman Gervin finger roll. His version of the finger roll. It was rather awkward.
Well, we're referencing the last second overtime shot that Daniel Saylor hit at Valdosta State a week ago Monday.
Yeah.
And he honestly just kind of let the ball go.
Right.
He had it on either side.
Yeah.
And he just kind of not even shot put it. He just kind of guided it.
Yeah.
But what was crazy about it is it didn't even hit rim.
No,
I mean, it went right through it didn't even hit the net either.
It ricocheted off of two Valdosta players right to Saylor, and that was poetic after everything that the Chargers went through. And then he scoops it in, and the Chargers win. So there you go.
And that's why my call was like, it went in. I mean, because I didn't know how to describe that.
Well, Scott made me think it was some sort of violation, like maybe it was
so here. Okay, here's what happened.
No,
at the
because
very
he thought
end,
they were waving it off.
Yeah, at the very end, they were saying no. Scott said no. You're
Right.
exactly right.
Right.
But when I looked back at it, the side official was waving the players back onto the bench.
Gotcha.
And so that was the no part,
right?
Was trying to get the players back. And Scott's right at the very end of that bench. So it happened right in front of them. So
yeah, it was a heck of a game. I got a chance to listen to the end of regulation and the overtime. It was great basketball, but it was a poetic ending after all of
some
that.
missed free throws. Missed free throws.
I think they missed 3 of the last 4 free throws.
Sure did. I'm telling you, free throws. Anyway, this used to be a national holiday.
Right.
This used to be called National Drew DeArmond Day.
Right.
I mean, honestly, instead it's now downtown Drew. But
it is a holiday for the smaller schools. Like, shout out, because I know you broadcast his games this year, Steve, but shout out to Khalil Green. He signed with Carson Newman. So good for that young man. So he's going to play college football, and certainly he's had an outstanding athletic career, but he had a really good year in his first year on the football field for the Mustangs. And so, that's awesome. As you know, Tim Coleman, his father very well. He's going to UVA Wise to be a long snapper on a full ride. So congratulations to him, another local student athlete. And I know we're probably not going to be able to name them all, but there's a lot of guys because of the transfer portal and NIL. This is what happens. A lot of the young men that get a chance to play small college football, this is when that all happens and lines up, because these is when these universities know what their needs are after the portal. And so, what
is the most significant news of the day from your opinion?
I mean, it's not even significant because everybody knew it was going to happen, but it's Ty Haywood. Denton, Texas, 5-star offensive tackle. He'd been committed to Alabama through the entire process until the signing day in December when he didn't sign. And then he officially decommitted on January the 13th. And he took one visit in January. It was to Michigan. There was thought that Texas Tech might be involved too, but he no surprise, signed with Michigan today, even though he's never visited the state.
So grew up wanting to be a Wolverine. Is that what I'm hearing?
I guess. And then Onis Kanabani, my good friend Freddie Kirby, who is the reason I'm in recruiting, is with us in the studio checking out our new digs, listening to the show. And he pointed out Onis Kanabani. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. But he is a corner.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, he's a corner. He was committed to Tennessee and did not sign in December. But then yesterday he flipped officially to Florida, signed with the Gators today. So the Gators took one away from Tennessee. But that's really the only significant two SEC. And let's also from an Auburn perspective, they did sign one player. He is a reclassify kid who played for Keith Etheridge at Auburn High School, and that's Omar Mabeson. He's been a stalwart for them for the last couple of years running the football. I think he's only considered a 3-star prospect, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be a really good player. But he reclassified, and he signed with Auburn today to be a part of the 25 class and fill a need at running back. So really, in Alabama, I don't think they were involved with anyone. I didn't hear of anyone reclassifying or visiting campus besides the junior day last weekend. And so Alabama, the hay is already in the barn, so to speak, with the recruiting class in the portal.
The final, this is definitely not final, but at least as it stands right now, the composite rankings from 247 have Texas 1, Georgia 2, Bama 3, Ohio State 4, Oregon 5, Michigan 6, Auburn 7, Florida 8, Texas A&M 9, and LSU at number 10. But I know LSU's been doing some work there in the portal.
They better.
Which, yeah. But as for Bama's class, the 21 commitments, how do you see this class for Kalen DeBoer's first full cycle?
Well, I mean, I think he did a nice job, and you pointed it out. I think everyone knew that when they officially lost, Ty Haywood, if they had kept him, they would have had the consensus number 2 class, which, until he officially decommitted, they did. And like you said, now it's funny how it keeps moving. But Alabama was 4 on Rivals just a couple of hours ago. Now they've moved up to 3. I believe they're still 3 and on 3. So it only cost them 1 spot. to lose a tackle of that caliber. Certainly, but I think that's another reason why they attacked the transfer portal hard, because, again, they knew they could read the writing on the wall. I think, honestly, it was a really good first class for Kalen DeBoer, and you can't say it was a full cycle because he got here in January, but what they were able to get done, I think was outstanding. And I think, they did a really good job of evaluating, because they evaluated guys like Keelan Russell, Jackson Lloyd, who Lloyd was a 3-star when they first started bringing him on campus. He became a consensus 5-star player. Michael Carroll, same way. He became the number 1 interior offensive line prospect, and he may very well be able to compete for the open left guard position during spring practice. Keelan Russell, his meteoric rise went all the way to arguably the number 1 overall player in the country. Some have him number 2. Others have him number 1. He's, of course, from Duncanville, Texas, the quarterback, and, he'll compete for the job. He's enrolled early for spring practice, and I know the coaching staff thinks he is as talented as any quarterback they've ever evaluated. Now, he's going to – we all know who the leader in the clubhouse is. It's Ty Simpson, but I think he's going to be able to compete along with Austin Mack. That's your 3 guys, because, as we know, they certainly had they lost a quarterback to the transfer portal who will likely be the starter. At least I'm thinking he will, because I thought he had a lot of talent for Bill O'Brien at Boston College. So we certainly will see. But I think the 3 that they have left are all blue chip prospects. I've stuck my neck out on the Chuck Oliver show that you can hear on this station every day. I've said Keelan Russell was my pick. Now I also
your pick for
to start, but but I mean, I did go back on Chuck this week and say that, the first dibs is going to be Ty. I mean, he will take the first reps. He will be the quarterback, that has is the leader in the clubhouse. And, it wouldn't surprise me coming out of spring if he's still the guy after A-Day on, I believe it's on April 12th. So go ahead.
Well, what do you like most about Keelan Russell?
Well, I mean, he's got great size. He has an outstanding release. Now, he needs to gain weight, because I think he's only 175, 180 pounds. So
listed at 6'3", 175.
Yeah. So, he needs to get to the 200-pound range. He needs to put on 25, 30 pounds of muscle this spring. But he has a quick release, very good accuracy, throws a nice deep ball, has enough mobility to keep plays alive, as does Ty Simpson. So they both have some of the same tools, but he just seems to have the it factor. He played in a very high class, the highest classification in Texas, played against outstanding competition. He won 2 state titles, one as a sophomore, one as a junior. Came up a little short this year. I believe they lost in the state semis, but he threw over 50 touchdown passes. I believe he won the Elite 11. Now, of course, I don't fall for the Elite 11 stuff anymore. I Blake Barnetted that and paid for it.
Yes, that's right.
Now, great family. And Blake's a great kid, but he ended up not being a big time QB. So, but I haven't seen him practice or scrimmage or anything. So it was kind of going, sticking my neck out a little bit. But, as soon as I saw Tua scrimmage, as soon as I saw Bryce Young, you could tell they were big time players. Mac Jones developed, and that's kind of along the lines of what they're hoping with Ty Simpson, because he stayed for a reason, because he could have left for an NIL deal and an opportunity elsewhere. But I think he and his dad, Jason, who's the head football coach at UT Martin, trust the coaching staff. So, and he certainly has shown flashes. Hopefully he's matured a little bit more, and we'll see. But Keelan, I can't wait to watch him, because I just want to see how quickly he catches on. And see, the difference is and we all know Tua had to wait till the very end of his freshman year before making that huge impact.
Oh, yeah.
And, I won't say any more about that. And then we know with Bryce, he played behind Mac, but he didn't start. But see, the thing is, those 2 situations, you had Jalen Hurts coming back, who was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year and was entrenched. And due to Tua's injuries, we saw enough of Mac Jones to know that he was going to be tough to beat out for Bryce Young. So they both came in with, guys that are now in the NFL in front of them. Now, the only thing with Keelan is he doesn't have that right now. I think Ty Simpson has really nice talent? Absolutely. But he does not have any skins on the wall besides a few, maybe close to a half of action against South Florida in the last year in 2023. So that's all he has. So there's not as much to jump over. So I'm going to be really interested to see this 3-man battle.
Our weekly conversations, this is going to be a rather lengthy one with Drew DeArmond, as he is helping me out here on the drive this evening as I'm in Cleveland, Mississippi, and he is back in the plush brand new studios of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It's brought to you by Environmental Comfort Systems. You can check them out online at envcomfort.com. Diving more into the Bama class, that is kind of sticking your neck out there pretty good about Keelan Russell. Is there any other freshmen in this class, not transfers, but is there any other, be it the edge player, Justin Hill, or anybody that you think that might get some significant snaps this fall?
Well, Michael Carroll is definitely one I mentioned earlier, the interior offensive line prospect, originally from Pennsylvania and went to IMG. I think I really think he has a chance to compete at left guard. They certainly have Cam Dewberry, the transfer.
So I mean, you're talking about O-line. That's impressive.
He's a special talent. But Cam Dewberry is coming over from Texas A&M. They still got Geno Vandemark, the Michigan State transfer, who played some last year as well. But that left guard spot is open. So going to be interesting to see how ready Mike Carroll is to compete. He's one that I would watch closely, though. And there's another couple. I mean, I know that Alabama returns some talent in the running back room. There's no question about that. But
is there like a Jonah Williams that you're seeing there?
Well, I mean, another guy to watch, but I don't anticipate him starting just simply because I think they have their left tackle locked in Caden Proctor. And then I think they really like Wilkin Formby at right tackle. But you could watch Jackson Lloyd. He's a three-sport guy who's never really concentrated fully on football from the state of California. He was, again, a guy that I mentioned that had started out in the process. He was only a three-star player, but he became a consensus five-star. He's 6'7", 290 from Carmel, California.
You say California, that's why I went Jonah in my head. I mean, of just like that little tie-in too. But Jonah Williams don't grow on trees, though. Are you tell me, is this starting to become more of a plug and play, even on the line in college football?
Not too much. I think you still Alabama's had their freakazoids, no doubt about it. Cam Robinsons, the Andre Smiths, the James Carpenters from the junior college ranks, the Jonah Williamses, as you just mentioned. They've had their share of guys that they've plugged in, even Caden Proctor to a certain degree. But the thing is, I do think Jackson Lloyd learning for a year would help. And but also he's going to have to play a little bit probably as a backup because, again, with the transfer portal and NIL, it robs you of all your depth. And so it's one of those things where you just can't, you don't have the depth you needed. And you got to start kind of preparing a guy because Alabama had some guys get banged up last year along the front. Jaden Roberts spent most of the year hurt. He got hurt in camp. He wasn't healthy the entire season. That's why Geno Vandemark played so much. And then, as you know, at right tackle, Elijah Pritchett had some injury issues, also had issues, just to being a space cadet, quite frankly. You never knew from series to series. I was on another radio show today and they talked about that series to series. You didn't know kind of what you were going to get out of Elijah Pritchett. He's now transferred to Nebraska. Wilkin Formby, I think, got a lot better as the year went on. It was a little rough first for him as he was a redshirt freshman out of Tuscaloosa, but I think he's going to be a really good player. So, but that would allow a guy like Jackson Lloyd to redshirt, and so we'll see. But but you never know because you got to hope you can keep guys healthy. Alabama has the framework for a really good offensive line because as we know, they were able to retain a Caden Proctor this time. He stayed in school. Wilkin Formby had options. Parker Brailsford, he didn't turn pro. He's coming back to play center. He was a really good fit. Jaden Roberts, when he's healthy, we know is really good. So to return a potential of 4 starters is really good because I'm going to say a starter in Formby because he did play some, start some. So he has some experience. So they have the framework for a really good offensive line, but they're just going to have some competition, at the guard spot. But they still signed a really good offensive line class. And don't get it twisted. Like, Ty Haywood is going to be I have a chance to be a really good player. Personally, I thought he was headed for a red shirt at Alabama his first year and to play some as a backup. If Michigan's having to start him, I think they're in some trouble. I think he's another one that needs to develop. But he's a really, really good player who, Michigan was fortunate to get today, and that was probably the highest profile guy because, again, you kind of mentioned it in the start of the segment. It's completely changed. I mean, this second signing day used to be a holiday. Used to be before I started working here, I would take off just to watch TV all day and go celebrate signing day.
There was 12 to 20 hours of programming dedicated to this.
Not anymore. It's in early December, and it doesn't even really get the coverage that it used to get. And now there's the high school class, and then everybody starts focusing on the portal class, and Alabama, I thought, did a pretty good job in the portal too. And I think they've got some good players that are coming in. And I think, the young man they brought in from Ball State, Arkel Anagwam, I think he's the one they brought him in. I firmly believe once they realized they weren't going to get Ty Haywood, that they were going to bring him in. And I just improvised that. If I got it right, it was luck.
You know what? Yeah, when I looked at that name, you're a better man than me attempting that, talking to Drudy Armon here on the drive. And by the way, I did look on the ride over here to Cleveland, Mississippi, because these are the days that you build championships. That doesn't get nearly as much notoriety. And I did check, and Nicole Auerbach did not mention about dirt being thrown on the SEC today, because this composites rankings, again, as I mentioned, Texas 1, Georgia 2, Bama 3. So, I mean, SEC, it does feel like, yes, there is no doubt that the landscape of college football has changed, Drew, but there's also no doubt that the programs that are entrenched, that know what they're doing, in my opinion, the Texases, Georgias, Bamas, and I'll put in Auburn right there, and it's an important year for Auburn, and I want to get to them, but it does feel like this death of the SEC narrative, it feels a lot premature, in my opinion. Drew.
Oh, it's totally premature, but I mean, the national media doesn't know how to do anything else. When the SEC loses, they all celebrate. So, I mean, the last time they did this, when Ohio State won it in 2014, Alabama, bounced back under Derrick Henry to win it in 2015. And, it was basically an SEC coronation for almost a decade, even though there was a little blip in there with a couple for Clemson in 16 and 18. But SEC basically dominated. And by the way, I mean, I'll just say it, Clemson wants to be in the SEC. Everybody knows it.
Well, let's go ahead and take our first time out. I do want to get into the Auburn class, because this is a very important class for Hugh Freeze and that program down there on the plains. We will talk to the voice of the Auburn Tigers coming up at 5:40, plus which the mayor of Madison, Paul Finley, is going to join us on the story that has just been reported on. And I've heard from a lot. I've heard mainly from the Trash Pandas, haven't heard from the mayor of Madison. And, of course, Town Madison attached there to the ballpark as well. We all see that overpass that's almost done as well, heading into Toyota Field. Paul Finley is going to join us coming up at 6 o'clock for his take on the renovations that need to be done there at the ballpark to be ready, according to Major League Baseball. Well, so we'll dive into that as well with the mayor of Madison. Let's take our first time out. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone with my friend Brandon Pilcher from Pilcher's Appraisals. Brandon, what exactly do you do?
Steve, I'm an appraiser. I can value a property for you if you're potentially going to sell, and that valuation could also be used to help you with your property taxes.
Thanks, Brandon. Brandon is licensed in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. You can contact him at 706-936-3766. Call or text. This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the Big Zone Deal store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Cecil, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, an overnight stay at Gunnersville State Park, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at WoodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
The sun is setting here in the Delta over in Cleveland, Mississippi. Boy, is it beautiful outside the hotel room here. Taking a look at the football stadium right next to the basketball coliseum, where myself and Scott Tyson will be tomorrow night as the 4th-ranked team in the country, the UAH Chargers, looking for a school record 21-game winning streak. They're at a 20-game winning streak right now, looking for their 21st coming up tomorrow night. Drew DeArmond back in the studios of 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and we're diving in a little bit more in depth into this signing class. And also coming up in 10 minutes time, we'll talk to the voice of the Auburn Tigers. Andy Burcham will be kind enough to join us, Mr. Number One, who is
will they ever lose again?
I don't know. I really don't know, but Chaney Johnson with an impressive little that wasn't really an oop scoop last night. Chaney, that was just kind of it wasn't a dunk either, as he just let it go right above the rim and it just kind of fell through. But Chaney playing above the rim seemingly a lot there for Bruce Pearl. But on the subject of the Auburn Tigers, a very, very important class there for Hugh Freeze. Let's dive in. I know a lot of people want to hear about Deuce Knight, I would imagine, but what do you make of this overall class, a top 10 class for Hugh Freeze, Drew?
Well, I mean, it was very important just simply because I think everyone understands the last couple of years of the Gus Malzahn era and then the disaster known as Brian Harsin. It was just it was not good. I mean, you got guys I trust like Brian Matthews telling me that it was the worst they'd ever seen and thought that Auburn might only win 2 or 3 games, and in Harsin, what would have been his 3rd year. He just felt like that, that the talent was that down, and they weren't getting a lot of interest, throughout the state of Alabama. Like, you could have never seen what they did this year, like where they dominated in-state recruiting. And that wasn't going to happen under Brian Harsin, because he simply, in my opinion, didn't understand, how to recruit in the Southeast. Now, sometimes guys, it doesn't matter where you coach, how to recruit. But Brian Harsin was a guy that struggled with that. I think they did a good job recruiting defensive linemen. I think Freddie Roach could learn that. I mean, the way Auburn approached it. I mean, they got some good ones. And again, they were fortunate geographically. I mean, Malik Autry, outstanding player, but he was from Opelika, but they got him. Because we have seen Nick Saban in the past, be able to go into Auburn's backyard and get great players, you know what I'm saying? And go into Auburn and get a kid, or go into Phoenix City and sign a young man. So, but I thought they did a good job. They got Jared Smith, the edge rusher from Thompson High School, who had previously been at Spain Park. He's an outstanding player. They got Jordan Crawford, who had an outstanding state championship game for 6A champion Parker. He looks like he's going to be an outstanding player. I had a chance to see this next gentleman up close and personal on the basketball court last year, and certainly in the Final Four, and that's Eric Winters, who's going to be a safety from Enterprise, outstanding prospect. They were able to hold on to Donovan Starr, the corner from Ravenwood High School, who was a really good player. And then another really good defensive lineman that committed to Auburn, flipped to Alabama, flipped to Auburn, and then back to Alabama, then back to Auburn. Yes, he did that. Antonio Coleman, his dad played for Auburn, but he is from Saraland, who went to the state championship game yet again this year and did an outstanding job. And so he's a guy that I know Auburn is really high on. So and again, and we'll see. I mean, and then Alvin Henderson, he was probably the crown jewel of the in-state class. He's the running back from Elba, 1A school, but he set the all-time, state rushing record this year, breaking Matt Campbell's record from Alexandria from years ago. He rushed for over 10,000 yards, committed to Penn State initially, and then, flipped to Auburn. And I think nobody, was surprised by that. But again, I thought it was a really good class overall by the Tigers. They really didn't have to load up on skill guys, especially at wide receiver, because they signed a really good class last year, led by Cam Coleman. And then, they hit on Eric Singleton out of the transfer portal. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's been played up enough to me. I mean, I think he's an outstanding player, and he might be. I think he's probably their top portal, transfer signee. I saw him at Georgia Tech, and certainly wasn't an offense that was going to feature the passing game a ton, but he made some plays that were undeniable. And after Keandre Lambert-Smith had such a good year out of the portal for Auburn, I think Eric Singleton's kind of being counted on to carry that torch himself next year.
Well, a lot of being focused on a certain former Oklahoma quarterback in Jackson Arnold.
The $1 million question, man. How good is he? If he's great, then we all know what's happening to Venables. He's going to be updating his resume. And a lot of people in Oklahoma think that's what's going to happen. It was a disaster losing the bowl game. I have people that I trust in that area that swear Jackson Arnold is a big-time talent and that he was mismanaged by Venables and OU. Now, as we know, they got the Washington State QB out of the portal and hired his offensive coordinator. So maybe that'll save Venables. I don't know. But, and Brent, to his credit, he waited like even really longer than Kirby in some ways to finally take a head coaching job. Yeah. And it worked out for Kirby. It's working great. But it's been a rough beginning. The first, 3 years really for Venables. 2 of them have not been good. One of them was pretty solid. And they tried to move on to Jackson Arnold, and it just didn't work. And when you're having to fire your OC in the middle of the season, that's not good. So we'll see if it works. But sometimes the portal additions work, and sometimes they don't. And for Hugh Freeze, he better hope this works, though, because if Auburn doesn't make strides, and I don't think they have to make the playoff or anything, but if they need to be like an 8-4, 9-3 team. If they're not, and they're still toward the bottom half of the expanded SEC, Hugh is going to be feeling some heat, after year 3. And, I think he would probably still make it to year 4 unless there's a disaster of epic proportions, like a 3-9 or a 4-8. But if he goes 6-6 again or 7-5, he's going to be feeling some heat, I think, heading into year 4 at Auburn.
That feels like that is a rather long leash, but I think the previous administration.
No, I think I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Harsin, good luck to him. He took a couple years off. He's going to be back at Cal with Justin Wilcox. Right. Oh, and by the way, the new general manager of Cal football, Ron Rivera, if you saw that, Steve.
Oh, really? No, I didn't see that.
Riverboat Ron. He's going back to his alma mater to run, Cal football along with Justin Wilcox. But, Harsin's going to be the OC there. Mendoza left, the quarterback. He went to Indiana. So it's going to be interesting to see how Cal does. But, again, I can't emphasize enough how poor the recruiting was under Harsin. And, Auburn football is going into a dark place that Hugh Freeze has been having to dig out of. Now, we'll see where he is in year 3. They need to be making some progress, and especially at the quarterback position. And once again, he chose Jackson Arnold. We'll see if he made the right decision.
We do need to take our final time out. We will talk to the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, coming up on the other side. It is The Drive here on a Wednesday. We'll talk to the voice of the Tigers coming up next.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Scattered showers and thunderstorms going to be possible for this Wednesday night. We'll see low temperatures fall into the lower 60s for the overnight. We could also potentially see wind gusts as high as 15 miles per hour. Heading into our Thursday, we'll keep scattered showers and potentially a few thunderstorms in the forecast. Otherwise, you can't expect to see a mostly cloudy sky. High temperatures topping out in the lower 70s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Sports Talk 24/7, 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Does anyone do any work around this joint anymore?
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside.
Back here on the drive, Rudy Arman filling in for West Neighbors here this evening. I'm in Cleveland, Mississippi, getting ready for UH Charger basketball tomorrow night, and you'll hear it over the airwaves of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. A 20-game winning streak for the Chargers. We'll see whether or not they can set a new school record tomorrow night, as they have tied the 11-12 team with that 20-game streak in particular over the weekend. And our next guest is following another very fun team to follow in the Auburn Tigers. He is the voice of the Auburn Tigers, as Andy Burcham is kind enough to join us. How are you, Andy?
Is there a better state for college basketball than the state of Alabama right now?
No, sir.
No,
really?
Not even close. I want to know who's second.
Yeah, that's a good question. It really is remarkable what is happening all over this state with college basketball right now. And of course, we all know what drives the ship, so to speak. But right now, basketball is the king. It's what's being played at the highest level at this point across the country. It's amazing.
And I mean, have you wrapped your head around yet of what next Saturday is going to feel like between Auburn and Alabama?
No, and I mean, I understand. Listen, it's there, and we know what that's going to be like going to Alabama and what is likely to be on the line for that game. And then we also know what it's going to be like in the final regular season game of the year at Neville Arena between these two teams. But between now and then, Auburn gets a really good Florida team in, which picked up a big win last night against Vanderbilt, playing without Clayton in last night's ball game. And that's listen, a year ago, those were two of the most important games played that Auburn had last year. And Auburn was absolutely dominated in Gainesville in the regular season. And then Auburn returned the favor in the championship game of the SEC tournament. So Florida comes in here on Saturday. I guarantee you they have the full attention of everybody in that program. ESPN will be here. It's the top team, Dan Schulman and Jay Billis, that will be here sitting alongside us. And so there's a big couple ball games. And then Auburn goes to Vanderbilt, which has been nearly unbeatable at home this season, before it gets to Alabama in a week and a half.
There's so much to dive into with this basketball team, but I want to start with defense, because this defense, you've seen them win so many different ways. What impresses you most about this Auburn defense, Andy?
Well, it has been consistent almost the entire season. I mean, there have been a couple games where teams have found a way to get to this defense, but last night Auburn's facing an Oklahoma team that has the best transition offense in the SEC. And Auburn outscores outscores Oklahoma in fast break points 14-3 last night, and held Oklahoma to 33% shooting in the game. And a game that was kind of back and forth through halftime, and then Auburn just pulled away and never did stop until the final buzzer in that game last night. Now Auburn has put together back-to-back games where it has scored in the 90s. Now listen, it gave up 82 points to Ole Miss last Saturday, all right? But it's also scored 92 in that game. But last night it was both the offense and the defense, and Auburn is big on the inside. We know that. And I thought Auburn really took advantage of that. Now, with that said, they will not have the advantage from a size perspective on Saturday with Florida. They will not have the size advantage in a week and a half when they go to Alabama. So there are games coming up where Auburn simply isn't just the bigger, superior team on the inside, but defense last night. And listen, it was rebounding. Auburn now rebounded Oklahoma all night long. Auburn had 9 or 10 block shots in last night's ball game, and Oklahoma just never could get into a flow from an offensive standpoint. And there have been games where Auburn has won it through defense, and the Tennessee game is one of those. And Auburn won 53-51 in a truly ugly rock fight at Neville Arena. But Auburn lost one of those games at Tennessee a couple of years ago in a game that never got into the 50s at Tennessee. So I think we have seen this Auburn team, guys, win in different ways this year, and it comes from different players. Now, the big constant has been Janai Broome all season long. But look at and the last two Auburn wins, for example. I mean, Janai did not have a field goal in the second half last night. He had 2 free throws and was out of the game early. He didn't get his first field goal until late in the second half in a 20-point double-double for Janai at Ole Miss. But it was Miles Kelly and Chad Baker-Mazara and Denver Jones, Todd Pettiford from the outside in a game where Auburn had 14 threes at Ole Miss. And we haven't been able to say that about Auburn's offense in years past. Maybe not since the 2019 team that went to the Final Four.
Andy, Drew DeArmond, I was there in Birmingham to hear Bruce Pearl at the SEC tip-off, which seems like 2 weeks ago, but the season flies by.
Maybe you, Drew.
he made a point of saying that one thing he loves about his program, he's always done well in the portal since it became a factor, but about guys in the second year improving. We saw Janai Broome do it last year. He's done it for a second straight season. But I wanted you to kind of comment on the two guys that we know very well. Chaney Johnson, who, of course, started his career here at UA Huntsville, at Alabama Huntsville. And then, of course, Denver Jones, who spent the first part of his high school career at Buckhorn High School here. I was in Newmarket today. But talk about the improvements you've seen, because I think an underlying thing with J.P. Pegues not working out in the portal is Denver Jones being able to reinvent himself as a point guard.
Well, and you know, I mean, he coming from Florida International, he was a 2. He was the shooting guard coming in, and that's what Auburn wanted from him even last year. But then both of their point guards transfer. Aiden, of course, goes to Alabama, and Trey goes to Michigan. And had either one of those guys stuck around, they would be the starting point guard this year for Auburn. But we thought that J.P. Pegues would be that guy this year, and it just hasn't happened for J.P. And so Denver Jones really has been Auburn's starting point guard from day one. And what we have seen from Denver, and we saw glimpses of this a year ago, and we can say the same thing about Chaney, by the way. We saw glimpses at that potential a year ago. But Denver has taken on that role as the starting point guard for Auburn. And not only, you know, is he scoring in double figures and doesn't turn the ball over and has been solid as an assist man at the point, but he is a very good on-ball defender. I mean, you talk to Bruce Pearl, and he considers Denver Jones one of the best on-ball defenders on the perimeter in the Southeastern Conference. And then what Chaney Johnson has done this year, and it really started in the offseason for Chaney, because I've heard that he has put on anywhere between 10, 15, 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason. So he went to work on his body in the offseason, and it has paid off. And I think with that, there is confidence. And we're seeing Chaney do what you guys saw at UAH, and what I think Auburn thought they would get from Chaney a year ago. And it has happened in his second year. And, you know, Auburn is very deep all over, and that includes the low post. I mean, the 2 games that, really 2.5 games that Janai Broome did not play, which included the second half at South Carolina when he injured the ankle. And then he missed 2 straight games. It was Chaney that stepped into the starter's role for Auburn and was terrific in both of those games. And it's not just on the offensive end, it's on the defensive end as well. So, yeah, both of those guys that hail from your part of this state have really stepped up in their second years. They're both seniors as well. I mean, this is an experienced basketball team, not all with Auburn, but, Miles Kelly, who's come in from Georgia Tech, has really been an integral part for Auburn from a shooting guard perspective, and at times has been a very good defender and probably doesn't get the credit for that for Auburn. And then there's Dylan Cardwell, who's been he's one of those guys that's been in the program the entire time.
Playing his best basketball.
No question. And, a year ago, Auburn experimented at times with Janai and Dylan on the floor at the same time. It was very rare and really didn't feel like it had to do that. Well, they committed to having the Twin Towers out there all year. And Dylan is playing the best basketball of his career. Janai is playing the best basketball of his career. And then you've got a guy like Chaney Johnson coming off the bench. I mean, there's no drop in production at that low post spot. So this has been a very fun team to watch and to be a part of, and to watch this team evolve through the season, because there have been a couple ball games that just hadn't played very well, and yet it only has one loss, and that was at Duke. And that was a game that you talked to these guys, they felt they should have won that game. This team truly feels it should be undefeated right now, which in this day and age and in this conference is remarkable.
They're the last undefeated team left in SEC play, which is a mouthful this year in particular. Talking with the voice of the Auburn Tigers and Andy Burcham. We are in the state. Well, you guys are in the state of Alabama and Mississippi right now, but I'm obligated to go football here with you. This used to be a big day. First Wednesday in February used to be a big day. Well, what are the questions you have here for what it will be year 3 for Hugh Freeze entering into his third spring there on the Plains, sir?
Well, I think you've got to consider quarterback a question mark just because of it's an unproven entity for Auburn, at least in an Auburn uniform right now. I like what Auburn did in the transfer portal. I think this was another outstanding recruiting class outside the portal for Hugh Freeze. But you've got to get consistent play at quarterback this year. If there is one area I think they would like to have better numbers, is defensive line right now, because they lost so much from a year ago and need to be better on the defensive front. And they've helped themselves in the portal at quarterback. They certainly helped themselves at receiver again. They didn't need as much help there as they did a year ago. They have helped themselves immensely, I think, on the offensive front through the portal and the recruiting class. And I think they've helped themselves defensively. The one spot, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised that there's not another signing perhaps after spring on the defensive front for Auburn, because how important is it as important for a defensive lineman or defensive tackle to go through spring ball at Auburn as it is perhaps at the quarterback spot? So I like what Auburn has done in the offseason. Now Auburn's got to put that together. And it all starts when Auburn goes to Baylor to open the season. I think this is a really important year for Hugh Freeze. It's a year for Auburn to take a major step forward this coming season.
Well, there's a lot to chew on right there, Andy. And I know that it feels like that this is an important spring of just lining things up the correct way, because once fall gets here, I don't have to tell you it's the season's right on top of you. There needs to be a lot of answers, I would say, for Hugh this spring, don't you think?
I agree, and I think quarterback's got to be the one. Now, listen, the Auburn gets the transfer from Stanford in after spring. He's staying at Stanford to be able to graduate, and you can't blame the young man for that. But they get a quarterback in from Oklahoma, and I think whether it's he or whether it's the freshman phenom, somebody's got to step up at quarterback for Auburn in the spring. I think that's why it's so important for Auburn in the spring at the quarterback spot. Guys, I think it's important for Auburn at tailback, because Tank Bigsby, Tank is gone, and you lose a very, very good tailback for Auburn a year ago. as well, who now has moved on and will be drafted in the NFL. So who takes a step forward for Auburn at the tailback spot for the Tigers? I think it's an important, they've got the transfer in from Connecticut. You've got the guys that were here a year ago. Who's the one that steps forward for Auburn? And with all those changes up front offensively, you got the middle three that are back. And I like that. But you have two brand new tackles, one on the right, one on the left for this team. And at times a year ago, that was a problem for Auburn, not only from a production standpoint, but from an injury standpoint. So who steps forward for Auburn at both of those tackle spots? You've lost a lot at the tight end spots as well. So there are some things to be answered. And I think this is a very, very important spring practice coming up for Hugh Freeze and the Tigers.
Andy, I wanted to close out with some baseball talk. I know it was, I'll say, a disappointing year for Butch last year, but he has certainly raised up that bar seemingly. What does this squad look like early on with the season?
19 returners, 21 newcomers. He has the third best recruiting class in the country and one of the best in Auburn history because it did not lose anybody to the Major League Baseball draft. And I don't remember the last time that happened at Auburn, especially with a class that is as highly touted as this one. It has a top 5 transfer portal class as well. So wow. I think Auburn has taken a huge step forward and has to in the best league in college baseball. Like we really believe that the SEC is the best in football, although I'm sure the Big Ten would argue with that right now. There's no question it's the best league right now in college basketball. So, you're playing in the SEC or with the big boys at this point. And I think they like what they've got. There's going to be some youngsters that will be counted on early on for this season, but you've got a Ike Irish back who's a preseason All-American and I think has taken a step forward in the catching role for Auburn. Cooper McMurray is back and healthier than he's been at Auburn. He's trimmed about 30 pounds to that frame. I think he's been much better shape going into this season. So, and here's a guy to look for, guys, this season. Eric Guevara, a year ago, going into last season at this time, Eric Guevara was thought to be that guy that would be Auburn's corner infielder. He would be Auburn's starting third baseman. And in the preseason, injured his knee, tore his ACL. Actually tore his ACL during fall ball a year ago. And he came back in less than 5 or 6 months and played for Auburn a year ago at maybe 60% tops. But I was really impressed that he came back and played it all for Auburn. And in the fall ball this year, he hit 500. He was Auburn's best hitter in fall ball and can play third, short, or second for Auburn. That's a guy to look for this season. Eric Guevara, I think all indications are he could have a monster year for Auburn, and Auburn needs him to be that guy this season.
Andy, I can't thank you enough for your time, sir. Tuesday, March 11th, by the way, the Auburn baseball team will be at Toyota Field there in Madison taking on UT Martin, so circle that date in particular. Andy, thank you so much, sir.
Auburn softball team's coming up there to play in the tournament.
That's right, February. That's right.
Yeah.
That's sneaking up.
Yeah, so we'll be up there. We'll see you there.
Stop in and say
Andy,
hi.
You're the best.
Thank you, Andy.
Sir.
Y'all take care, guys. Have a great one. War Eagle.
That is the voice of the Auburn Tigers and Andy Burcham. And speaking of Toyota Field, where the softball will also take place, the mayor of Madison and Mayor Paul Finley, kind enough to join us on the other side of this Sports Center timeout. Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton. We'll be right back with you right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This is Sports Center.
I'm Nick DeLuca. NBA trade deadline closing in. Already had some big-time names trading places. Could Kevin Durant be joining the list? Sunstar approaching 30,000 career points, but could be on the move. He's just hoping not back to the Warriors. Reportedly saying he's not interested in a reunion. ESPN NBA analyst Udonis Haslem on KD's approach to the deadline.
I think it's interesting because you don't want to go back to a place where you won 2 championships and you had some success. We understand everybody loves Steph, so it has to be a reason. Is it a locker room? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a structure thing? Is it the way they play the game of basketball? It has to be a reason why he doesn't want to go back there because we've seen how it worked. We've seen he had success. Or is it a Draymond Green thing?
Haslam on NBA Today. Durant won 2 championships with Golden State in his first stint. Elsewhere, the Kings in the cluster of teams at the bottom of the Western Conference acquiring Jonas Valanciunas from the Wizards for CD Sissoko and 2 second-round picks. Valanciunas was in his first season with Washington after signing a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Wizards last June. Sacramento using most of its mid-level exception to acquire Valanciunas' salary. Washington making a deal earlier today, sending Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks for Chris Middleton and more. Middleton spent the past 11-plus seasons in Milwaukee, was one of the foundational players on the Bucks championship team in 2021. He's due $30+ million each of the next 2 years. In college football, Ohio State promoting receivers coach Brian Hartline to offensive coordinator and play caller to replace Chip Kelly.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. 2-time MVP and my quarterback, Eli Manning, joins us on the set at 8:10 Eastern as we look ahead to the Hall of Fame announcement. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll, and I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Hour number 2 rolls along here on a Friday. Wes is out today, but don't worry, he'll our assignment tomorrow, by the way, we are going to talk to the athletic director at the University of West Alabama, as they made a pretty good hire earlier in the week. Bobby Wallace is going to join us tomorrow. Also, the chief, John Chavis, is going to join us as well tomorrow for his first visit, and there's a lot to dive in there with the standard, I'll say, there for the defensive mind of John Chavis, who will join us tomorrow here on the program. But there's a lot to get into with our next guest, as Drew DeArmond back in the studios of 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm out here in Cleveland, Mississippi, getting ready for some UH Charger basketball. The mayor of Madison, Paul Finley, is kind enough to join us. How are you, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I am doing well, sitting here in Madison, Alabama on a Wednesday evening.
So, year is this for you as mayor of Madison collectively? I know there was a little pause, but I don't want to focus on that there, Mr. Mayor.
I understand. And so this is actually the 13th year. And as you know, this will be my last year. I announced I was not going to run again.
That's right.
They added a year to our term, the 2020 term. In 21, the state legislators got us off the presidential cycle. And so all 7 council seats and the mayor's seat will be up for election in August. And then someone will take over in November. And that'll be my 13th year. So really enjoyed it. I love being mayor. I love our town. I love how it ties together with the overall community. But you know, I also enjoy doing other things, and that's what I'll end up doing once we're done with this term.
From year one, which I want to say, was that 08 or what was your first year? It was 08.
Yeah, so I came in at the same time that Mayor Battle did, and we immediately agreed to bury a hatchet on just everything that we.
I remember that.
Where, you know, when you agree on things, and there's so many things we agree on. We've worked together, and then you know if there's times when it comes to sales tax or other issues, you just have differences. And I think the good news for us is we respect and trust each other, and you kind of have those behind closed doors, and then you take care of your respective city if you need to. But this is just such a great community, and I'm just really proud to be a part of the leadership team that's helping to manage it right now.
Well, where I was going to go is just, I know we're a sports show, and I am going to get to the Trash Pandas, but what has changed the most from your job from 08 to 2025? What has changed the most just being the mayor of Madison in that regard?
I would say really one thing, because I feel like the quality of life in Madison, our theme is plant your roots. We get more mature as a city. We grow as a city. Our schools drive our growth, and as does Huntsville's and Redstone Arsenal. But Steve, to me, the one difference is the internet, and it ties into so many different things. We were talking today about how we continue to use technology to basically use the people's money in a better way, to have more data that we need to run the city better. But then you talk about Facebook and all the things that are good and sharing information, but boy, it's just acidic in so many instances. So we work hard. One of the best things we did was put a civic awareness academy in. We're taking applications right now, and we're trying to grow a group of people that have real information and are prepared for that versus speculative or just hateful information that people just throw out there. So internet to me is the biggest thing. Quality of life has stayed the same for all of us in this area as we continue to grow.
Well, I know a big part of that quality of living is there at Toyota Field with the Trash Pandas. And I've read a lot of stories on this. And honestly, I've read a little comments here and there from you, but just this is the reason I wanted to get you on, Mr. Mayor, because I've heard a lot of different opinions on why the renovations are necessary and just the options as well. And I know this is not an overnight process as well. How long has this process been going on, working with the folks at the Trash Pandas to get up to compliance?
Sure. So the answer to that question is about 2 years. And that's, Major League Baseball basically started about 3 years ago when they took over minor league baseball. But I think I can answer your question in 3 quick steps. The first one is, the ball court team, the Trash Panda team is phenomenal. We have loved working with them. When we put together the funding model, we put something together that we felt like between what they could generate from the 5 different revenue sources and lodging tax could cover the $3.1 million bond. And last year alone with those funding channels, we generated $3.6 million. So, we were already in a positive mode of paying for that. Then Major League Baseball purchases minor league baseball. They immediately recognize they're going from 160 teams down to 120, and they make that decision fairly quickly. Then what they're competing against, Steve, and I guess I wasn't ready for this, is minor league baseball is competing against college right now. With the NIL stuff that's going on, with the Taj Mahal that the SEC has, it's hard to get players to come out into minor league baseball and continue to grow them in your respective. So part of what they did is made sure the stadiums were compliant, and where we were deficient is our visitors clubhouse, which was too small, and areas that needed to be used for female umpires and coaches. About 5,000 square feet is what we're going to add. So then we in turn have options, and we thought we only had 2. We were going to build a 1-story ground floor visitor clubhouse that would in turn allow us to move the bullpen back 10 feet, put a goalpost there so we could have football and soccer games, and then that would be all we would do. Or we would add 3 stories that would help, and the 1 story met the compliance requirement for Major League Baseball. The 3 extra stories were funding that could help you pay for that. But when we received a new facilities and grounds guy about a year ago, he started looking at the facility again. And we found a 3rd option, which is to take where the current maintenance area is and plug that in to what we were going to do in left field in there and build a new maintenance building. It saves. So the 3 compliance things that we have now are $4 million, $12 million, and somewhere around $30 million. So council has options because we can fund all 3 of those, Steve. But my personal belief, and I said this previously, is we need to build the basics. We need to go ahead and get compliant, continue to work hard with the Trash Pandas to do what we're doing so wonderfully, because I don't hear people telling me build 4 stories. I hear people say, help me get to Madison in a more efficient and effective way from traffic. So I'm all for what we're doing. I want to make sure that we continue to do great things with that team, but I would stay with the basics if I had my choice.
And when will we know that answer, Mr.
So
Mayor?
what I love about our council is looking at all aspects. And right now there is not agreement. And part of it is we have to get 2 things. One, better costs, because our facilities and grounds guy, not only when we bid the demolition package, which we got no bidders, part of why there was no bidders in left field, and we had to, if someone would have given us a number, we would have had to make a decision. But with no bidders, there's so many intricacies out there that we now need to also deal with. So council's going back to get all of their information. I feel like within a month and a half, we're going to have all the answers we need. We're going to make a decision. We're going to go forward. And I think in this case, we're trying diligently to get the community information, but I'm also listening to them and what I hear and then what I don't hear.
So this certainly has to be good for Madison, but I would imagine, how much say are you hearing out of Ball Corp Inc. on maybe what they're pushing for? Because I'm hearing more of the 3-4 story type of building with a rooftop deck and all that.
Sure. And they absolutely would prefer to go to the 4 stories because it generates more opportunities for revenue.
Yeah.
And in their world, especially what they're able to sell, they need more suites to sell. They need more, having the ability to have 2 big areas within the confines of one stadium allows us to have more, convention type stuff. So I 100% understand it. And, again, that's part of where we're working with them right now. How much are they willing to put in to pay for, the 4 stories or even the 1 story in left field versus just doing the basics? I think the great thing for us is they are phenomenal partners. They work hard, that we're sharing information, and we're going to work together to make the decision. But I think if they had their choice right now, it would be the 4 story.
Well, but in terms of communication, and if I'm hearing you right, we're talking to Paul Finley, the mayor of Madison right now. It's still open communication, good communication between the Trash Pandas and the mayor's office. Is that what I'm hearing?
100%. And one of the things, we try in the city of Madison to make sure that we've only got one lead cook in that kitchen. And John Seifert is now the city council president. He's working directly with Mark Holland, when it comes to continuing to get information from council that they need, working with Mark on what funding structures could be there. He brings the mayor's office in. Mark brings Ball Corp local in. So absolutely, Steve. I think while we all, we all want to have a continued success, and we're working together to get there.
And I think that's a positive thing to hear right there. I hear lawyer. I'm going to talk to my lawyer. You're going to talk to his lawyer. That's when I hear red flags when I hear that. So that's good. I think that's good. I think that's very positive.
And the wonderful thing about it is now, we're 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away, maybe from opening up the full interchange at Town Madison. That's a game changer. That in turn has allowed Louis Breland and his team to continue to fill that place up with, businesses of quality that make a difference for Madison. There's housing over there, so, we're just one piece of a big puzzle that's going on here in this Tennessee Valley, but I'm really proud of what we kind of got going right now. And then you tie that together with the schools and our partnership with them. Again, I love being a part of this team because there's a lot of people working hard for the community.
Mayor Finley, this is Drew DeArmond. I'm sitting in for West Neighbors. I wanted to ask because we just had the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, on, and he mentioned this, and it's really almost upon us because the days, it's about 2 weeks away. But tell us about, once again, this Rocket City softball showcase that you guys have put together. That we got a lot of 13, I believe, Division I softball teams coming to the Rocket City.
And I'm so glad you asked me about that, because part of where we continue to not only have baseball, but one of the 5 funding structures is non-baseball events, and you guys know that. And we put together, along with the Huntsville Sports Commission, who is a big piece of that, a really exciting spring. There's a lot of high school baseball that gets to play there, but that big softball showcase does something that is going to, when the Rocket City Trash Pandas maintenance team pulls this off, and we'll support them from turning it from baseball to softball back to baseball. it not only is exciting for what's coming with the softball, but what can come down the road. And the commission continues to bring some of these, conference tournaments and so many of the things that are going on. So, and you and I both know softball is just huge. It's fun to watch. It's exciting. And so I can't wait for February. And you just hope for a mild February. But regardless of what's going to happen, it's going to be a great, couple weeks at Toyota Field.
I was at an event for the Huntsville Sports Commission there, Mr. Mayor, and someone, I think it was the head of the grounds crew, was talking about what they're going to do. They're moving home plate back, and of course they have to get rid of the mound as well. But I thought, wow, you're having to, reshape almost because I was thinking they were just going to use a little bit of the infield, but this is going to be first class coming up.
That they take, not only that, they move the plate back, they take all the infield grass out.
That's right.
Plate on
yeah.
And then again, great partnership, Garrett and his team with the Trash Pandas. They simulated this. So if we needed to ever do this during a Trash Panda, 2-week homestand, or away stand, you could stop on a Sunday, do it, and then have another week and they're just really good at what they do. And it's simulated to, in turn, not only take care of this time, but other tournaments down the road.
So I'm going to open it up to you because I know your tie here with the UH basketball team. What do you want to talk about there, Mr. Mayor? Because this team has been a lot of fun. In fact, I will tell you, they just pulled in down below me here and getting ready for the game tomorrow night. What have been your impressions of the old Chargers here in 2025, Mr. Mayor?
There's so many different things. I've watched them 2 or 3 times now. First and foremost, their guards are just, some of the best shooting guards I've seen, in my time with UAH. And the second part of that is, Tommy he's like Seth, from when I was watching. It's really hard to get the ball away from them and press them. And so first, they're getting the ball down the court. And then Danny has been amazing to me, and I know that's a big part of Coach working with him. And in D2, when I watch those guys, get up on their men at the 3-point line and they get a half step on, they got to run into Danny, and it's just a different world. So I think Blake has been really strong and someone that helps them. And then lastly, like every Charger team, I agree with you, Steve. They're just fun to watch. They just continue to bring more folks in. I don't see the same depth as a lot of times, but boy, the folks that are playing are really strong.
Well, I mean, not to let too much out of the bag here, but when you were traveling with us on a fairly regular basis there, Mr. Mayor, so where had the best golf courses around the GSC back in the day? Where was it fun to tee up?
Well, I think when we always went towards Memphis and, we were able to, go down to Tunica because they just had a couple golf courses down there you could play. That never upset me very much. And then I always enjoyed the Florida trip where, we went to Tampa, and it was just a great time to, you kind of, and I think our teams learned a lot down there, but it was also just the freedom. Those were my favorite too.
Yeah, it's, I miss you on the road trips, but it's been fun to see you and we got a couple more home games to go coming up next weekend, I think. So it's this has been a whirlwind, but a fun team to follow. I cannot thank you enough for your time because I know you're a busy man. And so after political life, what's next on the horizon for Paul Finley?
I'll tell you two things, and one of them directly correlates. With Tanner and Mo, just Tyler, and Kyle. I have more time to spend with them, and I'm going to enjoy that. And the one thing I've seen is that to me is just amazing is the friendship, the camaraderie that these players have. Just watching, Tanner still, with his buddies, that played there, quality people. That part of it's fabulous. But I have a marketing company. I do, political consulting. I do personality assessment that ties together with team building. I like working with people and trying to transition good into better. And so unless somebody comes along and says, hey, we could really use you for this, I'll go back to doing what I was doing, which just gives me a little bit more freedom as far as time. And most of that time is going to be spent with family.
Well, you have earned it because with the growth in Madison and the quality of life there and that partnership with Huntsville, literally burying the hatchet right out of the gate has that there's no doubt that Madison is infinitely better with you at the leadership there spot. So, and I'm not just saying it just because of getting to know you over the years. Everybody can see it. And by the way, I'm sure my wife will be quite happy because she drives from Decatur to Huntsville all the time. So I'm sure she's going to be quite happy about finally at least a little part of 565 not under construction.
Yeah, that, again, part of what we've been able to do is, we got the interchange at 565 and County Line. We're getting this one at Town Madison. And then, they got most of the 6 laning done. But yeah, that last part of that 6 laning is going to make such a difference for people coming in from Decatur and Priceville and Hartselle. And that's the beauty of what Mayor Battle and Chairman McCutcheon and team have done is there's just plenty of jobs here. They're good jobs and there's more coming. And then they can figure out where they want to live. But part of it is the road structure. And that's the last thing, Steve, is, when 3 people are speaking with one voice, and we sure are right now, asking everybody out there, please help us with these, 6 or 7 main road projects that need funding. Because, even if you get the money now, it's 3 or 4 years out. But it's a great community, and I always appreciate you. It's always fun to listen to you. I will say it was always, I love listening to you now because I'm never on pins and needles on whether my boyfriend is talking.
Well, the growth of Madison has been fun to follow as you guys are growing north. Now, I see a lot of buildings going up and up and up and up, but it is, I can't thank you enough for your time, sir.
You bet, Steve. Take care. You guys tear them up there in Mississippi. Come back with 2.
I hope so. Right. We'll try our best. That is the mayor of Madison, Paul Finley, joining us as his son, Tanner, of course, part of the Charger family as an alum as well. And boy, Tanner had some significant growth inside the Charger basketball program as well during his time here with the UAH Chargers. All right, let's take our first time out. Rest of the way belongs to Drew and myself as we'll open up the phone lines to you right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Our customers want best-in-class solutions. That's why we've recently added many new vendors like Zebra barcode printers. Our next level team has added premier automation solutions. We're not here to sell you just one product, and we love helping you find the right solution for your specific needs. That's what doing the right thing is all about, and that's why our customers have come back for over 50 years.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community.
The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Listen to UAH Charger basketball all season long.
Into the free throw line. Chaney sends it out. Max Schulman for three. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
I realize that liner's got a little bit of age on it, but I am just so darn proud of Chaney that is what made me plug that back in. It's been a lot of fun to follow Chaney Johnson down there for the Auburn Tigers. Would I love to see him in a Charger uniform, of course. There's no doubt about that. But being a part of the number one team in D1, it's pretty cool. We just got through talking to Andy Burcham, the voice of the Tigers, as well as the mayor of Madison, Paul Finley, on the upgrades there out at Toyota Field, the discussions and the resolution. Give it about another month and a half-ish is what at least I took out of my conversation there with Mayor Finley, but we'll see how things shake out. But there's no doubt about the growth of Madison and the quality of.
My in-laws moved here last summer. And they had been living for easily 20 years in Franklin, Tennessee, and came down here and visited us so much and go, you know what? I like this. And they went to lunch in the old downtown Madison and said, and that weekend they said, we're moving to Madison.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And within a month, they had bought a house and they're here and they love it. They absolutely love it.
256-576-4977 is the telephone number. Of course, it's also National Signing Day, as Trudy Arman in the studios, and we talked quite a bit. But Drew, tell me whether or not I'm seeing stories already of projecting the 12-team bracket in 2025.
Quit it with that stupid stuff. It's like.
Who knows?
It's like idiots like Andy Staples doing that dumb stuff. Just wait till after the spring practice and at least the second transfer portal before you start pontificating. It's just like I've even made a prediction on the Alabama. We talked about Alabama quarterback situation, but I know it's far from a certainty. But I don't like seeing too much of that. Just let it play out and see where it goes. You can talk about storylines, but predicting the playoff and who's going to make what and putting Kalen DeBoer on the hot seat already and acting like Auburn's already better than Alabama, that's just stupid. I mean, because I think Alabama's still got a better roster than Auburn, but I do think Auburn has a chance to be much improved. And I think they both have a chance to have good years, no question about it. But just sort of let it play out. But they're just trying to create, conversation. But speaking of conversation, because you just got through with that excellent segment with Mayor Finley, I wanted to inform the listeners of the schedule for this softball showcase. It's going to be outstanding. It starts on February 19th. It runs through the 23rd. The 19th, of course, is a Wednesday at Toyota Field. And
I know UAH is over there on that day. Yeah,
exactly. They will play that day. At noon, Alabama A&M will take the field in the first game. UAH against North Georgia at 3 o'clock. And
That's
then
a big matchup.
And then to wrap it up that night, Alabama and Jacksonville State, or I should say Jack State. That will
there you
wrap,
go. Come on.
That'll wrap up February 19th. Now, February the 20th on Thursday at 10 a.m. We'll get started with East Tennessee State and Louisiana Tech. 1 o'clock, East Tennessee State will play again against the Ole Miss Rebels. And then the Ole Miss Rebels will take on Louisiana Tech at 4 o'clock. And then at 7 o'clock to wrap it up, the UNA Lions will take on Mississippi State. And then on the 21st of February at Toyota Field as well, that's going to be 10 a.m. Ole Miss versus UNA. So the Lions get a chance to compete against an SEC school again. Then the Auburn Tigers make it to town. Auburn takes on Louisiana Tech at 1. And then at 4, Auburn takes on James Madison. And James Madison's been a nice softball power a little bit on the Division I level. And then that night, Mississippi State wraps up with Jack State. And then on the 21st, then this will be at Hexagon Field. They'll have 2 locations going. But 1 o'clock, East Tennessee State versus UNA. 4 o'clock, East Tennessee State versus Jack State. 7 p.m., James Madison versus Miami of Ohio. And then on the 22nd, this will be on a Saturday, Auburn's still in town against UNA. Then Auburn takes on Miami of Ohio at 1 o'clock. 4 o'clock, Ole Miss and Miami of Ohio. And this is all at Toyota Field. 7 p.m., Mississippi State versus Louisiana Tech. And then they'll have 2 games at Hexagon Field on Saturday, the 22nd. 1 o'clock, Jack State and James Madison. And then East Tennessee State and James Madison. Those games will be at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And the final day on the 23rd, on Sunday, there'll still be some SEC teams in town, including Auburn. And this will all be at Toyota Field. But 10 a.m., Mississippi State versus Miami of Ohio. 1 p.m., Ole Miss versus James Madison. 4 p.m., Auburn and Jack State. And then the last game of the showcase at 7 o'clock, old school rivals Jack State and UNA. So that'll be some great softball for a week, Steve.
I'm a 50-year-old man, and had I told teenager me that I'd be excited about softball, I wonder what kind of insane asylum I'd be in. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It is amazing how much the sport has grown just nationally, and I think it's amazing what they're going to do to that baseball field to accommodate and I'm sure the crowds are going to be fantastic.
Well, and Mayor Finley's right. Softball is exploding, and he was very excited about the event and what they're going to be able to pull off at Toyota Field and at Hexagon Field, and we're excited about that. But to show you how deep the SEC is now, the 2 national champion participants last year were Oklahoma and Texas. They're now in the league. Alabama was picked in the preseason 10th in the SEC, and they're ranked 11th in the country.
Well, all of the teams made the tournament last year in the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, as much as we want to sit here and, pound our chest
the majority,
about football,
I mean, look, at least there's 16 teams in this league. At one time or another, 13 or 14 at least will be ranked in softball, if not all of them. I mean, it's going to be brutal.
Well, earlier this afternoon during the Paul Feinbaum show, Greg Sankey was a guest and was asked about the certain issues for the college football playoff moving forward. Now, listen, those out there believing that there's going to be change for next year, not going to happen. I am of the opinion, not going to happen. There's too much needs to line up, and too many people. It's got to be unanimous in terms of vote for one more year. That's why it's not going to happen, at least in my opinion. But at least Commissioner Sankey calling out a little bit of the issues for the college football playoff. It advocates for that. It's tough to achieve the change this quickly of a turnaround, but there's no doubt, at least seeding wise, after we've been through this 1 year, though, Drew, we're just going to have to go through this one more year before we get a proper seed moving forward, be it a 12 team or even a 14 team of at least that I'm being told that we're going to go to after next year.
Well, I mean, I'll be shocked if they don't at least expand it, at 2 14 teams. Eventually it may end up being 16, but I think we could all read the writing on the wall even before the committee threw up all over themselves in year one, that it was going to be 14 quickly, Steve. I mean, after the first 2 years. And then, of course, after this butcher job where everything was seeded so poorly so they could make sure the Big Ten won, then of course that's what's going to happen. Though I will say the best team won, okay? I mean, with your eye test, if you watched it, Ohio State was the best team, and they should have. They lost $37 million.
But if anything, it has ballooned up pricing for players.
And they certainly have, and that's why this revenue sharing has got to happen. I mean, this is nuts. I mean, you win a national championship. Kudos. Ohio State earned it. But my Lord, you can't continue to lose $37 million as a university.
Yeah,
Steve, I mean, we had this announcement today, and it'll be done after next year, the 25-26 season. But it's even trickling down to the high school level. Holt High School, the Ironmen, Steve Webb, a guy that was at the University of Alabama at the same time as Keith and Wes. He played for Holt. They've had a lot of great athletes at that school. Because of participation issues after the 25-26 school calendar year, the Holt Ironmen are no more. They are dropping the entirety of high school athletics at that school.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was broken by our good friend Ryan C. Fowler. And
wow.
That's crazy to me. I mean, they will be able to transfer and even continue to go to Holt and compete at maybe Tuscaloosa County, a couple other schools around the area, but Holt not having high school athletics, man, that's just crazy.
That is, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. That is some significant news out of the state. That is 256-576-4977, the telephone number. Joe has called in. Let's talk to Joe. How are you, sir?
Oh, doing great, Steve. So you in Cleveland, Mississippi, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. And nestled up to the mighty Mississippi.
Yeah, right in the Delta, ain't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Went through Drew, Mississippi.
Yeah, I did go through Drew, Mississippi to get here.
Congratulations, Drew, Mississippi. They got to see you. Hey, Drew, the best two recruits for Alabama and Auburn. I'm talking about recruits now, not some transport for a guy. Who would that be?
Well, besides, for Alabama,
besides the quarterback for Alabama, obviously, but maybe.
I mean, I think, no doubt for Alabama, it's got to be, Keelan Russell, number one, just simply because of the impact he could potentially make, whether it's this year or in the future, if he's as good as he's made out to be, which is one of the top 2 overall players in the class. That's pretty significant. He's the highest rated player to ever sign with Alabama. I think Mike Carroll, who I already mentioned, could make a big time impact along the offensive line at left guard as a true freshman. Now, the Dijon Lee is a hell of a talent, a big corner out of California. He's a 5-star, but the only thing is Alabama's got so much talent returning in the secondary. Now, he may make it difficult, and he may force his way into the lineup, but he's another one that's extremely good. I mentioned Jackson Lloyd already, 5-star offensive tackle from Carmel, California. But another one to watch, because they do need a little help at safety, is I know you probably remember Ike Taylor. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was a hell of a player. His son Ivan has signed with Alabama, and if he's a quick study in Kane Womack's system, we could see Ivan Taylor potentially, make an impact, no doubt about it. But if you had to ask me, I would say just Michael Carroll and Keelan Russell are my 2 picks there. I just think they're both outstanding players. Certainly, I think they can make big impacts for the University of Alabama. And then Auburn, and you said, again, like you said, no portal. You didn't want to talk about transfer portal impact guys, because I've talked about Eric Singleton for Auburn a little bit because I think he's an outstanding player, no question about it. But for Auburn, if I had to just put it on, because I think Deuce Knight's going to have to redshirt, no question about it, because I just think he's not quite ready to play. But I would watch Derek Smith, who they flipped from Alabama. They claim they're going to put him at wide receiver, but I think his best position may be at safety. It'll be interesting to see, kind of where he fits and where and then a guy that I kind of mentioned earlier in the show, Jordan Crawford. He dominated for Auburn, is an Auburn signee in the 6A state championship game for Parker High School. And you heard Andy Burcham talking about the need for defensive linemen. I think Malik Autry and Jordan Crawford would probably be right up there for me for the Tigers as well. So I would, if you're asking me, I would say probably just from an impact standpoint, the couple of defensive linemen, Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford for Auburn, and then for Alabama on the offensive side of the ball, Keelan Russell and Michael Carroll.
Well, these high school kids have got to have a chance to play D1 ball. I mean, that's just all it looks, in my opinion. So but what's the chances of Russell still being in Alabama starting his junior year?
Well, I mean, I think he understands that he's going to get to compete to start. Now, he may not start his first year, but, the way things have worked out with Ty Simpson, he's already a redshirt junior. So if this could be a situation, and I remember when Ty was recruited to Alabama, he mentioned the development of course, when he got to Alabama, he mentioned Mac Jones, of how he got developed over a few years period. And so, this could be a one and done for Ty. If he puts up big time numbers and develops and feels very comfortable with, the way he's played, then Keelan Russell can learn under him for a year, like a Tua Tagovailoa, like a Bryce Young, and then he could take over next year. And so as a sophomore or even a redshirt freshman, depending on how they decide to handle it, I'm going to be fascinated to see how quickly Keelan learns, and then how much will they play him, because Tua was so good he made you play him. And then he did things that nobody had ever seen before. And then they did play during that COVID year. They did play a little bit of Bryce Young, and he was able to showcase some talent later in that season, even though it was a national championship year as well for both those quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting, I think. And I want to see, I'm kind of discounting Austin Mack, but how does he compete? Because he threw one of the best balls last year against Mercer to Rico Scott. So we'll see, but I'm anxious to see how quickly Keelan Russell acclimates himself, and if he can put himself in position to be the successor to Ty Simpson, who has 2 years of eligibility. But if this offense, morphs into what we saw at Washington, if he puts up the big numbers and becomes a all SEC level guy, then Ty could move on to the NFL after 1 year.
Well, that sounds great, guys. I appreciate all you do, and I'll catch up with you in the funny papers.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate the phone call there, Joe. 256-576-4977. The telephone number. We had a chance yesterday to talk to the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl and asked about Jalen Milroe in particular, Drew. And there is a story from Alex Byington addressing his relationship with Jalen Hurts and that comparison to Jalen Hurts, as Jalen Hurts getting ready for his second Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. What differences do you see between Jalen Milroe and Jalen Hurts?
Well, the biggest is Jalen Hurts is a willing runner. He would improvise and take off and run, especially if a read was taken away. And he was able to protect himself. He had really good durability. Very good short to intermediate passer. He would get rid of the ball much quicker. He was able to help out his offensive line, no question about it. And even if he did get lit up, remember Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss, he's a tough kid, because he would get up and on to the next play. And he brought his team back from a 24-3 deficit to win impressively in Oxford. So, but I just think, and Jalen Hurts is the son of a coach. I mean, being around football his whole life, Averion Hurts, doing a good job with him. He certainly had limitations, but I think he worked very hard at them. I think he got much better at going through progressions, and he always had pretty good pocket presence. He would climb the pocket and be able to. And then the willingness to run, I think always set him apart, because it made you have to take that into account. The thing that he struggled with in college was the deep ball. He struggled with his deep ball accuracy, but I think we saw it in the last playoff game. I thought he was outstanding. I thought really it was his best game of the year. started getting A.J. Brown against Washington involved. And I had picked Washington in that game because of the Jaden Daniels and what he'd been doing. But Jalen Hurts outplayed him, did an outstanding job. And see, the thing is with Jalen Milroe, he's not a willing runner. He doesn't want to run unless you call a running play. And then he's not very elusive. He doesn't go north and south enough, and he won't take guys on, with his 6'2", 240 pounds, because he's bigger than Jalen Hurts. But the biggest thing is he can't read defenses from the neck up. He doesn't go through his reads and progressions very well. He doesn't check off well. That's why Alabama stopped doing that after the Tennessee game for the most part. And then his pocket presence is probably some of the worst I've ever seen. He does not climb the pocket. He does not step up in the pocket all the time anyway. When he has it on occasion, he's looked really good with his deep ball. But there's too many occasions where he bails, he backs up, he ends up throwing off his back foot. He was a turnover machine this year. Too many interceptions. He had 11. Too many lost fumbles. And that's another thing. Jalen Hurts, even though he had deficiencies as a passer, did a very, very good job of protecting the ball and not turning it over, not throwing interceptions. Even the year he lost his job, I think in the regular season he threw 1 interception. So he just does not turn the ball over. And right now, Jalen Milroe is a turnover machine, and now he's comparing himself to zebras.
Do you think Alabama got as much out of Jalen Hurts or Jalen Milroe that they could possibly
I think
get?
They tried. I think certainly the coaching staff with Tommy Rees and Nick Saban did a good job of once he won the team and won the job, they built an offense around him. And as Coach Saban has no doubt gone on record with this year on College Game Day, they did a good job of helping the quarterback who was very young improve. And I do think he showed improvement. And he did a better job in his first year of taking care of the ball. But I also think going into his second year, once you have film with someone, they start taking things away. And I think Kalen DeBoer and his staff, Nick Sheridan, they tried to build an offense around the strengths of Jalen Milroe, but they were at his mercy because it was either good Jalen or bad Jalen. When it was good, they moved the ball. He made plays. He was electric. When it was bad, it was horrendous. We saw what happened in the Oklahoma game. We saw what happened, against Tennessee when they should have had a bigger lead, and then in the bowl game, and even somewhat in the even though he made a lot of plays against Vanderbilt, he still had a couple of turnovers that led directly to that loss. Same way in the Iron Bowl. In the Iron Bowl, Alabama won impressively, but should have won bigger. And we saw him make some electric, outstanding plays, but he also had the turnovers. So to me, he's a big-time project. Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma, kind of proved himself and grew in Lincoln Riley's system and became a second-round pick of the Eagles. We'll see what happens with Milroe, but I don't think he helped himself very much at the Senior Bowl.
Well, we shall see. It's the one position that it is even harder to judge in terms of the draft is quarterback, because NFL teams just go nutty over quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, as you mentioned, a second-round pick, but now he is going to become the 8th quarterback ever to start 2 Super Bowls in his first 5 seasons, and that is just incredible.
And people forget how well he played in the other Super Bowl. I mean, he really played well. He could have been MVP if they won.
No doubt. Yeah, here is Jalen Hurts from yesterday.
You have talked about having those scars and wearing those scars of doubters in college and the pros. Do you secretly like that extra motivation when people are doubting you for extra fuel?
There's no secret.
So what does it do for you to take you to that next level?
It's just who I am, and my mentality and my approach is always to find ways to better myself, and it's always looking internal first, and then looking at my teammates and how I can better the guys around me as well. So, I've always been focused on, what I'm asked to do and can I do it at a high level, and then also processing the way that I'm being taught to see the game and then how I already see the game. And then obviously you have that burning desire to win. So all of those things are a priority to me.
I mean, that is grown up Jalen Hurts right there.
And I think he is coachable. I think he's worked and he's busted his tail. My question about Jalen Milroe is he coachable? And some of the quotes that he was attributed today made it sound like he's not. And he is certainly not a finished product, and he's got a long way to go. And I said this morning on Talking Ball, I wouldn't draft him, but if you do draft him, to me, he's got to be a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounder. And then you have to put some time in He needs to be the third guy, learn, get in that film room, get on the practice field, work on your craft and your mechanics. He's got to show that growth, because to me, he's not a guy that you're playing within the first 2 years. I just don't see that. I think he's got to grow, and I think he's got to get better. He's got to be brought along slower. And the NFL used to do that with quarterbacks, not so much anymore.
FanDuel has just updated their 2026 college football national championship betting odds. And as much as I sit here and kind of scoff at, predicting the next top 12, at least from a better standpoint, some intriguing numbers that I'll have for you on the other side, closing things down here on a Wednesday. It is The Drive right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia if you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan, the right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage, with me. John, when they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is it's all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankoffrankewing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank, as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Scattered showers and thunderstorms going to be possible for this Wednesday night. We'll see low temperatures fall into the lower 60s for the overnight. We could also potentially see wind gusts as high as 15 miles per hour. Heading into our Thursday, we'll keep scattered showers and potentially a few thunderstorms in the forecast. Otherwise, you can expect to see a mostly cloudy sky. High temperatures topping out in the lower 70s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Covering Alabama, Auburn, and the Southeastern Conference is a year-round job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Don't worry, we've got you covered on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, this is going to be a fast final segment. I got a steakhouse to get to. Steakhouse of Japan. Right.
Steakhouse of
Scott
Japan,
Tyson is looking at me. I hear from the hotel room. No. I'm right across the way from the hotel that we're staying at. Is the Steakhouse of Japan. And trust me, you'll get a full report tomorrow morning.
Oh, we will definitely be looking forward to that full food report. And shout out to TJ Cole, by the way. Signed with East Mississippi Community College.
Nice,
outstanding.
Scooby
had a great career at Grissom football wise. Also part of Jack Dawson's basketball team, and they will take on the Huntsville Crimson Panthers tomorrow at 6.
That's right.
Catch that on the NFHS Network. Area 7 tournament.
Missouri leads Tennessee at halftime in men's college basketball, 34-28. Other games, in fact, you'll be able to listen to Arkansas and Texas. Pregame starts at 7:45, walking you up the tip. And later on tonight, LSU and Georgia will round out your SEC evening in men's college basketball. All right, college football betting odds. This from FanDuel, just updated. The leader in the clubhouse is the team that just hoisted up the trophy. That is The Ohio State University at a plus 450, as a lot of people are believing that Julian Sayin will be the likely starting quarterback there, and still not sure as to who the offensive coordinator is going to be. Of course, Chip Kelly now with the Raiders. Second on the list is Texas at a plus 650.
Yeah.
Also at a plus 650 is Oregon. Georgia's at a plus 700. Penn State is at a plus 850. Then Notre Dame at a plus 1200. And the Alabama Crimson Tide check in at a plus 1600 if you're looking for some value there.
And I do have some breaking news with the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, Steve. It will be Brian Hartline. Wide receivers coach has been promoted.
I vaguely remember skimming that yesterday.
Yeah, he's going. It's official now, I believe. Yeah, I don't know who's going to replace him as wide receivers coach. I don't know if he's going to continue to do that in that role, but we will see. But certainly, Ohio State got hit hard with a lot of coaches moving on after they won the national championship and lost $37 million.
But from a bettor's perspective, again, for an SEC perspective. Now that we're no longer the football conference anymore, we're dirt thrown on it. It's Texas, Georgia, and then Bama. Or at least from FanDuel as the betting odds. And this is just such a shot in the dark, honestly, because for me heading into SEC Media Days, Drew, I got to recalibrate in terms of not only who's coming back, what coaches are coming back, what kind of portal changes, and the fact that Barryon Brown is now an LSU Tiger, I think is fairly significant as well, because they're returning their quarterback as well as their OC. This feels like juggling chainsaws, and
it's hard to predict, man, because of all the moving parts with teams from year to year. I never would have thought Notre Dame would play for the national title. Thank the Lord they lost.
Well, they did a few years ago, and Bama took care of them as well. So
1988.
Drew, I cannot thank you enough for hopping in on what used to be National Drudy Armand Day.
But now we found out Drew, Mississippi.
Downtown Drew.
Downtown Drew.
Downtown Drew. That's right.
I used to shoot threes. back in the day.
All right, go home, take a nap, and we'll hear you tomorrow morning. I'll hear you tomorrow morning. As I'm going to have to wake up early again tomorrow morning.
Oh, wow.
All good. All good. All good. Thank you so much, Drew DeArmond. And
Appreciate
for those of you wondering, who was the first guest in the studio? Freddie Kirby.
Freddie was here,
Uh-huh.
taking everything in.
Oh, yeah. Taking inventory. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yep.
Good night.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And swamp. The wrong. There's nothing like the SEC. The weekend's full of surprises. From Williams Bryce to Death Valley. On the Five Bomb Show, Paul's on the road. If he don't get the best of me, call Paul. He'll make sense of it all. Needles up on Rocky Top, the Razorbacks are hard to stop. War Eagles soaring in the wind. Tigers rocking in Missouri, Wildcats are grinning too. Boomer Sooner rolling up again. Well, Eagles bound to hook 'em. If ketchup you're not looking, watch out for the tide that's rolling in. The weekend's full of surprises. From big upsets to